Too Much Information is a production of iHeart Radio. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Too Much Information, the show that brings you the secret history and little-known facts behind your favorite music, movies, TV shows, and more. We are your anatomically incorrect dolls of details, your Danish pop machines of minutia, your Barbie boys of bizarre trivia. Yes, there is truly nothing beyond our ken. See what I did there?
Shut the up.
My name's Jordan Runtagh.
Oh my god. Oh, you've made me so angry. God, I hate this song. God, I hate everything that this song represents. Continue.
What's your name?
Oh, I'm Alex Heigl. Sorry.
And today, folks, the time has come. We knew it had to happen at some point this summer. Thanks to Greta Gerwig's film, we cannot avoid the Barbie buzz any longer. Try as though Heigl might. We are taking a look at a song that, to my surprise, isn't actually in the movie, which we'll get to over the course of this episode, but it's gotten swept along in the great pink tsunami of media hype. We are talking about Barbie Girl by Aqua, one of the most distinctive, memorable songs of the 90s. I don't know how to phrase it. I'll be honest. Maybe this is just my own bias, but I am hard-pressed to name a song that did so well commercially that is so undeniably annoying. Does anyone genuinely like this song? I mean, tweet at us using the hashtag Barbie Blitz. I don't think so. I mean, just to me, it's what's a better hashtag? I can't think of one.
No, that's good. It's good. Because I was trying to think of a weird Nazi thing.
Yeah, no, I know. The Blitz was as close as I was willing to get. Yeah. I mean, to me, Barbie Girl is firmly in the novelty camp alongside Chipmunk songs and the Monster Mash. Even during my years as a wedding DJ, I would rarely or ever turn to this song, but I feel like it's unique in that it's a song that almost everybody seems to agree is bad, or put another way, I think very few people listen to it for pleasure, yet people still seem to have a tremendous amount of affection for it. And for my particular mid-millennial age group, which notice how I'm very tactfully avoiding saying middle age, it evokes an innocent, relatively carefree time. But it was also a simpler time in the world. This pre-9/11, pre-social media, pre-pseudo-civil war that we're living through right now. So maybe people have good feelings for it just for the time that it came out in 1997. Heigl, I cannot imagine you have anything nice to say about this song, but because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'll ask anyway. What do you think of Barbie Girl?
Oh my god. What a tremendous piece of shit. My god. You know, I don't advocate for international nuclear war much, but we should bomb Denmark for this. On the anniversary of Oppenheimer, whatever. Them. Oh my god. I hadn't listened to this song for so long, and then I finally heard it today because you made me do this. And it is as bad as I remembered it.
That's impressive to me.
There's things that I like about Eurodance. There's things that I like about dance music. I like a lot of like Detroit techno. I like a lot of stuff that's like abrasive and unpleasant. Baltimore club music. Stuff that's like charitably described as difficult for the ears. This, though, holy shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I detest Europop. I don't get it.
That actually surprises me. I could see you appreciating the song craft.
No. Okay. I like the weird period of Euro disco where they were all into really being evil, like Italo disco.
Like
I think
Moroder?
I sent you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
that makes sense.
Like
yeah.
Moroder. Yeah.
Like haunted roller rink style music. Yeah, okay.
Precisely. Yeah, just drum machines and echo and like minor key synths and Italian translated vocals that don't make any sense.
I do love that, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also what I like about Europop in general.
Yeah, but when you make it as something as lame and triumphant as Barbie, like, here's my thing. Why do you need to celebrate Barbie? It's like making a pro Coca-Cola song.
It's
like,
a satire.
It's not. I guarantee you the message was lost. And I speak as one of the receivers. I guarantee you that message was lost on people. It's not, it didn't translate. People just got the catchiness of it. So I don't know. I prefer the sinisterness of Italo disco. And yeah, I don't know. God, I fucking hate this song. And I just don't respect the Danish. They peaked with Hamlet. And
yeah, Hamlet didn't write that,
yeah, what are they going to do to me, though? Are they going to cancel me? What are they going to do? Cut off my supply of tinned fish?
Don't they make those cookies in those like blue tins that everybody's grandma would put sewing materials
what
in?
do we do with them? Well, yeah, exactly. What do we do with them? We keep fucking sewing materials in them. What do I do with this song? American techno, like Frankie Knuckles, like Chicago techno, like there's this rich history of like American dance music that's really born of disenfranchisement, like of being like, oh, well, we don't have the resources for like a live band, so we're just going to loop the really danceable part of a drum track, or, we're going to take like we have a drum machine, but it's kind of shitty, so we're just going to loop that and blow it out. And like, that's where American techno and American dance music comes from. And then 20 years later, you have this just lame perversion of it that's just like, yeah, we got those same samples. Barbie. That's our commentary on it. Like, how would you feel if I created Hamlet Girl? How would you feel if I brought in, I don't know, Max Martin, and I made a novelty hit that was called Hamlet Boy?
I think in order for that to work, it would have to be an Americana song produced by like Rick Rubin, and then you would have
that kind of rules. Okay, so what if we get Rick Rubin and we get who's the preeminent American? Jason
Jack
Isbell.
White.
Jason Isbell
and
Jack White. Yes, exactly. Now we're on to a formula. We get Jason Isbell. We get Jack White. Who's a drummer today who would really... It doesn't matter. Drummers are replaceable. And we write a parodic version of Hamlet. And that's our novelty hit. And
we
it's
put
called...
it in our own cultural milieu. Yeah, we take their icon and put it in our cultural milieu. That's how you do it.
It's called Hamlet Boy. All right, great. Cancel the show. Jordan, take us in.
Well, from Barbie's surprisingly scandalous backstory in the German red light district, to Aqua's surprising fixation on Rick Astley, to the lengthy lawsuit between the band and the toy makers behind the doll, and hell, we also got a lengthy segment on pop music used for torture, appropriately enough. Here's everything you didn't know about Barbie Girl. The story of Barbie Girl begins in the land where all pop earworms originate, Scandinavia. Or at least Denmark, which I'm told technically counts as Scandinavia, so please hold your angry letters. It begins with a collective of musicians and DJs who originally formed under the name Joy Speed.
Lame.
Which sounds vaguely obscene. The core of this group were Soren Rasted, which is kind of a very metal name, and Klaus Noreen, which is less metal, who got together in the late 80s when they were pop-obsessed teens bonding over Depeche Mode, Simple Minds, U2, and David Bowie. And much like the two lead writers for ABBA, Bjorn and Benny, these two future Aqua co-founders got their start in music by making the soundtrack for a Danish movie which sounds like a softcore porn, 1994's Naughty Frida and the Fearless Spies.
No.
Shockingly, that is not a softcore porn. I've checked it out. It's actually a children's movie. In the Venn diagram of softcore porn or children's movies, very small overlap. But I guess Naughty Frida and the Fearless Spies.
How does one get that gig, Jordan?
They won a contest. Which Scandinavia with their arts grants and their social safety nets and their competitions for scoring children's movies, I guess. I never would have guessed. But around the time when they were working on the soundtrack project, these two, Soren and Klaus, began working with a local DJ named Renee Diff. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled, who was a regular on the Danish club circuit. And this is interesting to me because this guy, Renee Diff, the DJ, told Rolling Stone for their epic oral history on Barbie Girl last year in 2022 that his all-time favorite artist will always be Rick Astley. I really, really love Rick Astley. And, I've interviewed Rick Astley on several occasions, and I can confirm he's quite lovely. I've actually pitched a Never Gonna Give You Up episode of TMI to Heigl on many occasions, back when we first conceived the show, and he steadfastly refused. Even after, it would have been a great April Fool's Day thing. We publish it under a different name, and people listen, and all of a sudden, we come on talking about Rick Astley and Never Gonna Give You Up. It's a podcast version of Rick rolling. It's great.
For years, he's been doing this, people. I'm telling you.
If enough people comment on Apple Podcast reviews, if we get 5 people to ask for Rick Astley, we still won't do it. I'm sorry.
I won't do it.
So I'm going to take this little opportunity to shoehorn in some of my favorite little known facts about Rick Astley, because I'll never get another chance again. Did you know, Heigl, whose head is literally in his hands right now, that Rick Astley sang backup on Can You Feel the Love Tonight on the Lion King soundtrack? I think he was uncredited. It's my understanding that Rick Astley went into the studio to visit his friend Elton John, and Elton invited him to sing on it at the last minute, alongside British pop star Gary Barlow of the band Take That, I believe, and also Kiki Dee, Elton John's 70s duet partner on the hit Don't Go Breaking My Heart. There's an internet rumor here. This will interest you. There's an internet rumor that Freddy Krueger actor Robert Englund was also one of the backing singers on Can You Feel the Love Tonight, but he debunked that. Yeah, he debunked that recently. He said some interview, it was like the Daily Mail or something. He was like, I did a lot of voiceover work. I honestly can't remember all the things I've done, but I'm pretty sure I didn't do that.
That'd be amazing kind of if they called him in. If they called him in, they were like, "Do the Freddy voice." And he's like, "Don't go breaking my heart tonight, bitch."
I think in the same interview, like the headline of it was something like, "I look in the mirror and I scare myself," or something like that.
Bitch. Yeah, he's the 80s Freddy run is famous for introducing bitch into the slasher movie parlance.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
It starts with in Dream Warriors. I think the third installment. There's a woman who wants to become an actress, and Freddy comes out of a TV and grabs her, and he shoves her into the TV's head, and he goes, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." And that began the grand tradition of Freddy calling people bitch.
So Aaron Paul on Breaking Bad probably owes him some residuals. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so, you would have, "Can you feel the love tonight, bitch?"
Well, back to Rick Astley before we return to Barbie Girl. Another fun fact about Rick Astley that I really love, in a welcome return to our It Belongs in a Museum segment, Rick has revealed that his iconic trench coat from the Never Gonna Give You Up video was swiped, literally taken off his back by a bunch of teens as he was performing at an outdoor gig in Northern Ireland in the late 80s. So somewhere out there is a vital piece of terrible music history, which brings us back to Barbie Girl.
That's why I gotta love the Irish, man. They really just they don't care who you are.
Off your back in the apparently mid-song. He was doing like some kind of BBC recording.
Did you ever see The Commitments?
No.
Oh man, dude, you would love The Commitments. That movie's great. It's about a bunch of Dubliners who form a soul band. It's a great movie. You would love it because they do like they're doing like Motown covers and stuff. It's a great film. Commitments. Man, you gotta check out The Commitments.
I gotta see that. That sounds incredible. I love how much people in the United Kingdom know their soul so much better than Americans. Like Northern Soul, that whole movement is so fascinating to me, and like the whole second career that those people have.
What is it? I think I saw Eric Burton at one point say something and was incredibly condescending, but also kind of true, which was that the British rescued Black American music from the dustbin of American history, which is not true when you actually look at the record sales of like soul and blues records and what they call race records in the States. But as far as pop music, like it is actually kind of true. Like the British loved soul and blues in a way that American white people didn't. And that's kind of how the quiet part loud about that is that's how you kind of get the latter half of 20th century American pop music is British people who loved Black American music. Really fascinating to me and also really kind of grim.
Well, it's about to get even grimmer because we're going back to the Europop of Barbie Girl.
Because we're talking about the Danish.
Yes, this future Aqua DJ, Rene Diff, he made something of a name for himself in Denmark by rapping during his DJ sets. And, I can't conjure up what Danish rapping sounds like. I'm sure it's fantastic. This skill helped this guy get a job this is great, helped this DJ get a job on a Norway to Denmark ferry. They had a DJ hired to play on the Norway to Denmark ferry, which fulfills our large boat quotient for this episode, which is wonderful.
We love that.
We do love that.
For you.
For me. While aboard this ferry, Rene Diff, the DJ, was in the audience while a shipboard game was being played, kind of like Wheel of Fortune. And while he was in the audience, he was struck by the Vanna White-style hostess of this game. And her name was Lene Nystrom, better known to us, for our purposes, as the future lead singer of Barbie Girl. And according to Renee spent several months, quote, flirting my pants off, and they dated for a few years before they ultimately split. And then she would go on and date fellow Aqua member Soren Rasted. So off the bat, you get a kind of a Fleetwood Mac situation, which would have no apparent impact on Aqua's artistic output. But I just think it's worth noting. You got to do the Flight of the Conchords impression.
Oh, Fleetwood Mac made some of the best albums of the 70s.
Rumors.
No, it's all true.
Nicely done.
No. No Danish person has ever spent any amount of time flirting their pants off.
I feel like they probably have a lot of sex in Denmark. I don't have firm stances on many things.
Well, maybe to keep warm. Name one Danish person with sexual magnetism.
Name one Danish person. The villain from Casino Royale, Mads, what's his name?
Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah, where's he from?
Great question.
I don't know a famous Dane.
I think he might be Danish.
Okay, great. Wow. Tremendous.
He's a great actor. I love him.
He is a great actor. He cries blood on command.
Yeah, but
you
he's
can't
also
teach
a great
that.
actor. Dude, have you ever seen Another Round? He's tremendous in that movie. He was a professional dancer before he became an actor. He does like a full dance routine at the end of that movie that's incredible. He was also he's also Hannibal. He's like the NBC show Hannibal is incredible.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you love that show.
I love Hannibal. Yeah, Brian Fuller. Anyway, yeah, but I can't take them seriously sexually.
That surprises me. They're very good looking.
They are good looking, but they seem like large statues that you'd approach. Like there's no art of seduction involved. Like you just kind of
like there's a form you fill out, a part of the social service buildings.
Yeah. Someone very formally meets you in a lobby, and you kind of fill out several forms in triplicate, and then
you use some hand sanitizer.
Yep. Anyway.
So you have Rene the DJ working with Soren and Klaus, these two film soundtrack guys. Rene brings his new girlfriend, Lene. I'm going to have a really hard time keeping those two names apart. And together they form a foursome that they call Joy Speed. And they were different in that they were a completely self-contained group. Klaus and Soren would do the production for the group, and Rene Diff would do the rapping, and Lene would perform the main vocals. And in 1995, they released their debut single, Itsy Bitsy Spider, which was a minor hit in Sweden, but not big enough, and they were dropped by their label and management. So that led them to start all over and change their name to Aqua, choosing the name from a poster seen in their dressing room. And their new songs were recorded with the very techno-friendly instrument known as the Roland JV2080, which synthesized organic instruments, and it helped give their music a new sound. And this eventually earned them a record deal with Universal Music Denmark. All of which leads us, of course, to really the only reason you want to hear about Aqua if you live in North America, Barbie Girl. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Too Much Information in just a moment. Tell us about how they wrote Barbie Girl.
The idea for Barbie Girl came after the band attended an art exhibit on kitsch culture, which tracks. Speaking to Rolling Stone for the oral history the magazine did of the song, Soren said, "I went to an art exhibition at a store in Copenhagen. They'd taken a bunch of Barbie dolls and made a planet out of them. It looked like a big round ball. It made me think of life in plastic. It's fantastic." End quotes. Begin quotes. I thought that was a great line. Then I wrote, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." End quote.
It's not bridge over troubled water, but, you know.
It'll do.
Yeah,
Serve the Americans their slop. Anyway. Barbie. We can't even repeat that word without paying royalties to Mattel. She's a whole episode in and of herself. Yeah. But we have to do a quick sidebar. She was produced by Mattel Toy Manufacturers, co-founded in 1945 by Ruth Handler and her husband, Elliot, along with a family friend. According to PR-approved, a.k.a. Heigl sanitized corporate legend, Ruth Handler came up with the idea for the Barbie doll after watching her daughter, Barbara, cut paper dolls out of paper magazines and carefully choose clothing and accessories for them. Do you buy that?
No.
Good. All the other dolls on the market at the time were baby dolls, but Ruth realized that there was potential in a doll with adult features that would allow children to act out their dreams. And Ruth Handler felt like the only thing that these baby dolls prepared kids to be was a caregiver or mother. Barbie,
supposedly,
was created as a way to teach girls about the different careers they could have. Named after Ruth and Elliot's own daughter, Barbie debuted at the New York Toy Fair in March 1959 and quickly caught on, selling over 351,000 dolls that year at $3 a pop. Today, Barbie is the best-selling toy in the world. More than 1 billion dolls have been sold since 1959 in 150 different countries. Barbie has obviously met with her fair share of criticism over the years, especially as far as body positivity is concerned. She's faced scorn over her unrealistic proportions. It has been said that if Barbie were a real human, she would be forced to stand on all fours and wouldn't be able to lift her head. Well, all four members of the Danish garbage collective known as Aqua wrote Barbie Girl together, presumably on break from brainstorming different ways to make Hamlet relevant in the 21st century. Soren and Klaus produced it with their friends Johnny Jam and Delgado, both of which sound like parody characters if SNL were dedicating an episode to Europop. The Roland JV 2080 synth, the instrument that figures so highly in the distinctive sound of the song, helped make Barbie Girl so memorable. Interestingly, for a pop song, Barbie Girl contains a lot of minor keys. The minor chords in this song were a last-minute change. As Soren told Rolling Stone, it was in major chords at first. He really wanted to change it to minor chords, and we started on a minor chord instead. I don't mean it to be too technical, but the change means a lot. Another distinctive element of the song is the high pitch of the song, which Lene had to hit for real. This was before autotune had caught on or was commercially reliable, so she just had to bang it out at that IRL high tone. And reportedly, she was not happy about this, thinking she sounded ridiculous. She told Rolling Stone, "I don't know how many headsets I smashed. I was furious for months." And eventually she warmed to the creative choice. It made the whole track magical, but it took me a long time to admit it. Barbie Girl was the third track on Aqua's debut album, Aquarium. Released in April 1997, it was their first single released in the US. From the jump, the band knew they had something special on their hands, but the band had no idea how big it would be. Lene told Variety in 2022, something magical happened when Barbie Girl came out. The whole world exploded overnight. Our label sent it to Z100 New York, and the phones just lit up. This is where we smash cut to the cigar-chomping executive, a beloved figure in TMI lore, going, "Get me the Danish Barbie Girl, people! Is it actually Barbie? Is it actually Ken? I don't give a shit. Get him into the Z100 studios. Have him talk to Charlemagne the Kid. Have him talk to the RZA and swap production techniques on the Roland drum machine. Barbie Girl sold over 1.4 million copies in the US and topped the UK charts for a month, became England's second bestseller of the year, behind only Candle in the Wind, 1997. That's right, it took the death of a royal to...
Much like Hamlet.
Woo! Great work, Jordan. You really earned your minuscule paycheck with that one. That's right, folks. Barbie Girl came in second to the death of Princess Diana.
That's the worst thing to happen that year.
Barbie Girl peaked at number 7 in the U.S., which was a point of pride to Aqua. As Lene noted to Rolling Stone, most of the Scandinavian groups that broke in America were from Sweden, though AHA were from Norway. Not many came from Denmark. As you may notice, I'm doing a caricatured accent to make fun of them. A reviewer from People magazine at the time called it the year's best novelty record, a cartoonish anthem you'll need surgery to remove from your head. The song was certainly helped by the influx of teen-centric bubblegum pop that had begun to return to the charts in the form of Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, the Spice Girls, and shortly afterward, Britney Spears. But there was also a downside.
That's right, because despite its success, people really
hated this song. That's right, Jordan.
This brings us to a new feature on TMI that I hope will be a recurring segment. Musical torture sidebar. Yeah, it was hated to such a degree that I mistakenly believed that Barbie Girl was blasted during hostage situations as a form of psychological combat. I was wrong, but my research uncovered some interesting / horrifying things about this phenomenon that I'd like to share with you now.
Was that not true? Where did that come from? Because I remember hearing
it just seems like the kind of song that would have been, but to my knowledge, it wasn't. But there is a fairly long list of songs that have been blared to torture people. The U.S. has a long, not especially proud history of musical torture. In December 1989, when the United States invaded Panama, American soldiers tried to drive deposed dictator Manuel Noriega, who was an avowed opera fan, out of his hiding place in another embassy by blasting, among other things, Van Halen's Panama, pretty good there, as well as tracks by Styx, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA, and reportedly just full episodes of The Howard Stern Show. Which I don't really get. The plug was pulled on this psychological warfare with music after the Vatican complained. And then, of course, we got to talk about the 1993 Waco standoff when the ATF blasted songs that included Nancy Sinatra's These Boots Are Made for Walkin', Alice Cooper tracks, and Christmas albums by Andy Williams and Mitch Miller, and also Buddhist chants. This became a fairly famous incident. The New York Times wrote about it in an article with the very memorable headline, "It's got a good beat and you can surrender to it." Swear, this must have been while the standoff was still occurring, because it was written in a very flippant, lighthearted way, which seems to suggest that nobody had died. So it was pretty jarring to read that article now.
Was this a South Park thing too, where they used "Believe"?
That makes sense. I'm sure. Yeah, that sounds familiar. And yeah, the Waco thing was, I think, the first time when the whole, like, we're going to play music to somebody day and night at excruciating volumes over and over and over again was kind of the first time that entered the popular consciousness, as far as I'm aware. But things really got ramped up during the War on Terror in the early aughts. A BBC News report claimed that Enter Sandman by the American heavy metal band Metallica was used for sleep deprivation and to culturally offend Iraqi POWs. I've also read that Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People and Nine Inch Nails' March of the Pigs were also used, both of which were particularly effective on those who'd lived in rural Afghanistan and had never been exposed to Western music. That's a hell of an introduction.
My favorite quote about the time is that Lars Ulrich was supposedly quoted when they asked him about, like, how do you feel about Metallica drummer, Lars Ulrich. They asked him, like, how do you feel about Metallica music being used to torture people? And he was like, I don't know. I don't have control over what they play. Like, what do you want me to do? Ask them to play Venom?
Yeah, there's a quote from James Hetfield that we'll get to in a minute. He was similarly nonplussed. There's a quote from an American sergeant, speaking of Newsweek, saying, "These people, haven't heard heavy metal. They can't take it. If you play it for 24 hours, your brain and body functions start to slide. Your train of thought slows down and your will is broken. That's when we come in and talk to them." They also blasted Britney Spears, the theme to Sesame Street, and also the theme to Barney and Friends on repeat, which that just sounds sadistic. The composer of the Barney theme, Bob Singleton, reportedly, quote, just laughed when he heard of the song's status as the, quote, most overused torture song on the CIA's mixtape. He elaborated, "It seems so ludicrous that something totally innocuous for children could threaten the mental state of an adult. I would rate the annoyance factor to be about equal with hearing my neighbor's leaf blower. It can set my teeth on edge, but it won't break me down and make me confess to crimes against humanity."
Wow.
Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine was less amused by the news that his music was being used to torture human beings. In protest, he would appear on stage frequently in 2006 in hoods and orange Guantanamo jumpsuits. And Trent Reznor was also horrified by this. He issued a statement on his blog. Remember blogs? "It's difficult for me to imagine anything more profoundly insulting, demeaning, and enraging than discovering music you put your heart and soul into creating has been used for purposes of torture. If there are any legal options that can be realistically taken, they will be aggressively pursued, with any potential monetary gains donated to human rights charities." As I said earlier, James Hetfield was a little less perturbed. He's very famously pro-military, and in a radio interview in November 2004, he said he was, quote, proud that the military had used his music, even though he specified they hadn't asked his permission or paid him royalties. He added, "If the Iraqis aren't used to freedom, then I'm glad to be part of their exposure." But he added, "If I listened to a death metal band for 12 hours in a row, I'd go insane too. I'd tell you anything you wanted to know." Hilariously, an article in The Guardian reported that the U.S. military may owe royalty payments to the artists whose works were being played to torture captives. Which Irving Azoff could get that out of him.
That's the most Metallica thing ever, is if, like, Metallica actually sues the U.S. government for unearned royalties because their music has been played in interrogation sessions.
Yep.
Oh, God. We live in hell.
At other times during the War on Terror, the U.S. used The Real Slim Shady by Eminem, F*** Your God by Decide.
Deicide! Oh my God, what's wrong with you? Deicide whips, dude. You aren't into, like, Florida death metal?
Did you think I know? No, I don't know who they are. They also played the Meow Mix theme on repeat to torture prisoners. The best or worst part of this was that the Meow Mix song was employed immediately after a long spell of heavy metal in hopes that the shift in dynamics would destabilize the prisoner. In the case of blasting Slim Shady, it would go on sometimes for 20 days nonstop. Another prisoner reported that We Are the Champions by Queen was played for 30 hours nonstop, which is at least 5 hours too many. A man named Mohammed Al-Khatani, the alleged 20th hijacker of the 9/11 attack, was blasted with Christina Aguilera's Dirty, chosen specifically for its sexual overtones, which the government believed would make it difficult for him to observe strict Muslim practices. To this end, female military personnel would supposedly go shirtless during interrogations and give forced lap dances to Muslim inmates. Psychologists have written that this specific musical torture works by eliminating the prisoner's ability to have a, quote, safe interior space by invading it with the sounds and cultural expressions of their captor, thus leaving prisoners nowhere to go to, quote, escape the pain. And that's why ultra-patriotic music like Neil Diamond's America or Don McLean's American Pie is often used during these torture sessions.
That's what you did to me with Hotel California.
And Don McLean's American Pie.
And Don McLean's American Pie.
And Margaritaville.
And Margaritaville.
And I'm doing it right now with Barbie Girl.
Yeah. At least I get to eat burgers while you're doing it. On the microphone.
The government also apparently used David Gray's Babylon to torture prisoners. Due to the biblical connotations of the title, I thought that would be offensive to people of the Islamic faith. One German musicologist studying the effects of musical torture played the song once for a former Guantanamo inmate who immediately burst into uncontrollable sobs. He reportedly had been forced to listen to the song at volume so loud he genuinely feared his head would burst. Other inmates were blasted with the Bee Gees' Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. In one truly remarkable quote, a since-released prisoner is on the record saying that his captors, quote, cuffed me and put earphones on my head. They played hip-hop and rock music very loud. I remember they played Meatloaf and Aerosmith over and over. I hated that.
This is what Jordan does to me. Literally, what Jordan does to me. I want to talk about John Carpenter movies and late-era John Coltrane records. And Jordan is like, let's do Barbie Girl.
We're doing Taco Bell next week.
Yeah, we're doing Taco Bell. And let's do Armageddon. And
you loved Armageddon.
I thought
you did.
I did love Armageddon.
Yeah. And what's the Arnold one we're going to do?
Predator.
Yeah.
A little bit of a preview for you, TMI faithful.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Until you pull the rug out from under me and you're like, surprise, we're doing David Gray's Babylon. What's up with David Gray? How's he doing?
I don't know. In my mind, I've replaced his face with Dave Matthews.
Similar white men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The song even kind of sounds like Dave Matthews.
Jordan, psychologically, what does Barbie Girl do to us? Take us home. He says halfway through the outline, we have so much left to go. Take us home, Jordan.
It's worth noting that music doesn't necessarily have to be bad or even played nonstop to be torturous, just at irregular intervals to disrupt regular sleep. One ex-prisoner at Guantanamo is quoted as saying, sometimes it would stop at 3 a.m. or so, but your ability to sleep was already disturbed. You lose the ability to have a routine sleep. The other thing they did was play the music at various times. The random aspect of when it would start or end was frustrating. It makes you tired, agitated, upset, on top of all the other situations of not knowing when you're going to be released, interrogated, or moved to those other cells. Many people suffered from various kinds of anxiety attacks. People hyperventilate, lose control of their senses, hit their bottle of water against the cell, against other people, trying to scrape their hands against the concertina wire, sometimes breaking down and crying. One U.S. Navy veteran who was doing undercover work in Iraq did time in an unofficial prison camp and was tortured with song. Thankfully, he'd been specifically trained for this eventuality and put his background to good use. He started to talk to himself, telling himself jokes, trying to keep a rational train of thought going, believing that if he let the music completely, quote, mask his thoughts, he would never recover his sanity. He added that the experience, quote, sort of removes you from you. You can no longer formulate your own thoughts when you're in an environment like that. And as a result, he emerged damaged but not broken, in his words. Another released Guantanamo prisoner explained in an interview, I can bear being beaten up. It's not a problem. Once you accept that you're going to go into the interrogation room and be beaten up, it's fine. You can prepare yourself mentally. But when you're being psychologically tortured, you can't. It makes you feel like you're going mad. Another prisoner said that this psychological torture was worse than the physical torture he received, which included having his penis regularly cut with razor blades. He said, imagine you're given a choice, lose your sight or lose your mind. So that's all horrifying, but on a slightly lighter note, as we get off this topic, onto, as you'll recall, Barbie Girl.
No.
Hmm?
No, we're getting back to this. How can I torture you? Is it Slayer? Late era John Coltrane? What could I do to you? I think because you're such a sweet boy, and you're so pure. You love pop music, and you love the Baroque influence of pop music, and you love composition. What could I do that would really break you? Like like a really aggressive free jazz, or like really abrasive, like Norwegian black metal, Could I get some Mayhem or who's the guy that murdered his bandmate? I think that was Euronymous. Could I get some really like Vragvirknes Norwegian black metal or like really heinous free jazz? Yeah, like late Coltrane or like Albert Ayler.
Albert Ayler.
Yeah. What do you got? What could
I'm pretty good at disappearing into myself, though.
Yeah.
So
well,
I
you
kinda
say that
feel as
now.
though-
You say that now.
But on hour 26.
Yeah. By the way, don't answer any knocks at your door anytime soon, because I do know where you live, and
you
this
do
is-
have a key.
I have a key. Yeah, and this is a project for iHeart. Yeah, they've signed out. Your bosses have signed off on this. So, when you wake up handcuffed to a corpse, and Interstellar Space by the John Coltrane Quartet is playing, know that that's me.
It's cheaper than laying me off.
The classic New York media answer. I would rather be tortured than eventually laid off. All right, let's take this home. You got like 7 more pages going. Come on, Jordan, take us home. That's going to be my new cue, by the way. When we have like 17 more pages to Jordan, take us home.
Canadian police reportedly used Nickelback's music to punish and or torture DUI suspects. But alas, in all of my research, I have not uncovered Aqua's Barbie Girl being used in such a way. So now I guess everyone can quit their bitching about having to hear this song every now and again, because there's a lot worse things that can be done with music. Poor Lini, the lead singer of Aqua, is quoted as saying, "We weren't prepared for all the negative reactions to Barbie Girl. You know in your heart what your intentions were, and reading all the negative reviews was a bit tough to swallow. More than just the cloying sing-song nature of the chorus, the song got attention for its suggestive lyrics, which many took to be an insult to feminism. To wit, you can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. I'm a blonde bimbo girl in a fantasy world. Dress me up, make it tight, I'm your dolly. Make me walk, make me talk, do whatever you please. I can act like a star, I can beg on my knees. Kiss me here, touch me there, hanky-panky." I don't remember that. "Come jump in, bimbo friend, let us do it again." I'm reading this like Gore Vidal.
It'd be better if you were reading it like Charlton Heston reading the iced tea. They like, die, 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 pig, die.
Or the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, also good.
The Ken voice in Barbie Girl starts the song by asking if Barbie wants to go for a ride.
Also, what the is up with that Ken voice? Why do they fucking say that was the Ken voice? That sounds like B Squad Tom Waits.
He sounds like a predator. Yeah, I mean that's been a major complaint against this song, is that the Ken voice sounds like a sexual predator. Yes, that's true. Over the years, many pundits and critics have read a great deal into the lyrics of this song. Was it a social comment? Was it satire? Or was it just merely problematic? The band have taken great delight in blanking all journalists who try to hold their feet to the fire and get an explanation as to their meaning behind this song, much like Britney Spears would in the famous Chuck Klosterman profile when he's asked her about the sexual undertones of "Hit Me Baby One More Time," and she just completely blanks him on it. Soren told Variety in 2022, "We had the line, 'Come on, Barbie, let's go party,' and thought it was great. There were a lot of headlines about plastic surgery at that time, which influenced us, but we really just wanted to make a fun song. We didn't put much thought into it. The hook just worked really, really well." However, he gave what appears to be a totally different explanation to Rolling Stone that same year, 2022. Barbie Girl was, of course, a song about plastic surgeries. Other parts of the song were just sexual. When we had the lawsuit from Mattel, which we'll talk about later, the lawyers made us change the story. They said, "Please don't say it's anything sexual." But we were not really trying to make a statement. We were just trying to write a fun song. And Lena said something similar to Rolling Stone, linking it to the era of Baywatch and, quote, "taking the piss out of Pamela Anderson. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's pop music. If you want to see the layers to it, there's all the layers you want. We wanted to take the piss out of that kind of perfect girl." That was the main thing we discussed. We didn't say it very often, but that was the main thing behind the song.
Choosing Barbie is so half-assed, man. I mean, like, oh my God, there's so many other icons of American culture you could choose. Choose what do you just like choosing John Wayne? You know, pick a better topic. Pick like
What would you have done?
Chuck Berry. That guy liked to watch people piss. James Brown. You know, Elvis. Elvis is wow. Why was there an Elvis boy? Elvis is a ripe for parody from the European perspective.
I kind of feel like that's an easy one. That's sort of a John
well, it is.
Wayne
It is.
level.
It is. But we got Barbie Girl, and we got the most half-assed Barbie Girl. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. That means nothing to me. Come on, Barbie, let's extend our credit. Come on, Barbie, let's go into debt to achieve the lifestyle that our parents told us we could afford. Come on, Barbie, let's go to college, liberal arts. Let's get a liberal arts degree because our parents told us that that would be the path to success. Come on, Barbie, capitalism is a failed experiment. All of these would have been really valid options for a pop song. And instead they...
Come on, Barbie, let's sign up for Twitter Blue.
Yes. These are all valid options. Jordan, take us home.
One of the people who hated Barbie Girl was the guy who ultimately directed the cartoonish fantasy video for the track, Peter Pedersen. I need to check and make sure that that's not a typo. That can't be his name. Peter Pedersen is his name, yes. As Peter told Rolling Stone for their oral history that we keep citing, I was just starting out as a director and it was hard. The night before I got the request to do the Barbie Girl video, I was doing some grainy black and white art stuff in the basement. While we were setting up, Barbie Girl came on the radio. I remember saying angrily, "What the hell is this?" The next day I got a call asking if I wanted to do a video for it. I went cheerfully, "Yes, of course." To prep, he watched a bunch of old Hanna-Barbera cartoons like the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo to capture that bright Technicolor aesthetic, which would mimic the cartoonish feel of the song. And Pedersen also took notes on Spike Jonze's video for Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. He said, "I love those crime movies and exploitation movies that they were referencing. It was an inspiration since it had the Beastie Boys playing characters. That was a good reference for me to say, if we can go this way and have a kind of irony, we can go a long way." He held a brainstorming session with the band where he asked all the critical questions. What does Barbie do? What kind of props does she have? And the answer was, of course, well, she has a house, a car, a horse, a hairdryer, a telephone, a dog. And they storyboarded from there, with the ultimate premise being summed up as, Barbie does a lot of things, and it ends in a party. That's the log line for the video. The video was filmed in just 2 days in a warehouse in Copenhagen. Despite the quick turnaround, there was some drama when Lene arrived on the set and discovered that she was expected to dye her hair blonde to portray the Barbie character. She said, "I don't get angry very often, but you can only stretch me so far. I had my own kind of opinion about that. I didn't want to look like Barbie. That's against the whole point of the song. I came into the dressing room and the stylists were there, so we had a long, hard argument. Universal came in, the record company. The director came in, and I just stood my ground. So Pedersen went back to the storyboards and colored all the shots of Lene's blonde hair black. But he still wanted Barbie and Ken to make an appearance, so he called 2 friends who he thought looked the part. And according to band myth, the rich myth of Aqua, the Barbie and Ken actors met on the set that day and wound up getting married and having kids. Apparently that's not quite the case. They actually met while working at a cafe a few years earlier, but I still think it's cute that the Barbie and Ken characters from the Barbie Girl video are now married, or at least they were. Reflecting Peter Pedersen's dim view of the song, he also said that he didn't have high hopes for the video. And he said he vividly remembered the day when someone came running into his office shouting, "The video's on MTV!" And as he told Rolling Stone, his response was, "Really? I didn't understand it at that time. And I still don't understand it."
As you meditate on that, we'll be right back with more Too Much Information after these messages. Aqua, the band, not the color, tried to blunt any backlash to their song Barbie Girl by including a line in their liner notes.
In the liner notes, yeah.
The liner notes that said, the song Barbie Girl is a social comment and was not created or approved by the makers of the doll. A very, derogatory way to
It's a very dismissive. Yeah.
How dare they refer to Mattel that way? This was not enough to soothe the raging tempers of Mattel, who launched legal action 6 months after the song's release, kicking off a battle that would drag on until 2002, 5 years after Barbie Girl came out. Funnily enough, Aqua is not even the first entity to be sued over Barbie. Todd Haynes, famously the director of
I'm Not There, the Bob Dylan
I'm Not There, the
movie?
Bob Dylan film, and
A really
Carol,
good Velvet Underground doc.
the Velvet Underground doc. Well, Velvet Underground doc, and also the Velvet Underground dramatization, Velvet Goldmine. Yeah, he was sued by Mattel for his use of the doll in the 1987 film Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, which reenacted the life and struggles of the titular character, Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters, and her battle with anorexia nervosa using, you guessed it, Barbie dolls. So, they also sued the Danish. The toy manufacturer filed 11 claims against MCA Records, Aqua's American record label, claiming that the song had violated copyrights and trademarks, even infringing on what they referred to in the suit as the color, quote-unquote, Barbie pink.
You're a Laura Heigl. How can you copyright a color?
No.
Good. Thank you.
No, because colors have hex codes. There's that whole thing about,
right.
what do they call, there's like a phrase for white people online that they use, like a 6YT or something. It's like the Photoshop hex code for like absolute white.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyway, Mattel filed suit against MCA, claiming that the song Barbie Girl had violated copyrights and trademarks. They also claimed that the song tarnished Barbie's image by sexualizing her, specifically by referring to her as a blonde bimbo. MCA's lawyers, meanwhile, went on the offensive by basically questioning the doll's character and history, at least in terms of as Mattel had provided it. In other words, they subjected an inanimate doll to brutal character assassination.
Lawyers.
Yeah. In the Rolling Stone story, the MCA lawyer is quoted as saying, "My view was reinforced when I learned about Barbie's background." Pause for a pull quote. Barbie began her life as a German doll known as Lily, and Lily was a plaything for adult men, brackets, essentially a 3D pinup, brackets closed. So her background was not pristine.
This is all the quote.
So continuing quote. It also became very clear that Barbie had been represented in books and other media, even in recordings prior to Barbie Girl, as representing a certain type of person. She became an icon standing for a certain type of person. That led to the major defenses in the case, which were essentially First Amendment cases.
End quote.
MCA responded by filing a defamation counterclaim against them, claiming that Mattel's mind was in the gutter and that they added their own meanings into the song's lyrics. With their lawyer continuing, quote, "We hired literary experts, record industry experts, marketing experts, and came up with all sorts of material that was more critical of Barbie and a lot more sexual, frankly, than Barbie Girl." There was no doubt that for many, many years, even people who didn't buy Barbie dolls were aware that Barbie was either viewed as a feminist or as a bimbo. That was an indisputable fact. Also, trademark names have been used in songs for many years. Think of Janis Joplin's Mercedes-Benz, Paul Simon's Kodachrome, Bruce Springsteen's Cadillac Ranch. At one point, Mattel argued that they could have called the song Party Girl. However, Party Girl obviously does not convey the same message as Barbie Girl. The lawsuit dragged on for years and ultimately went to the United States Court of Appeals, which circuit?
Ninth Circuit.
Ninth Circuit. Judge Alec Kaczynski ruled in favor of MCA, stating that the song was protected as free speech under the First Amendment, basically ruling that it was a parody and therefore didn't violate any copyright laws. He also threw out a defamation lawsuit. Aqua's record company filed against Mattel, ending his ruling with a line, "The parties are advised to chill." I don't have a lot of respect for the U.S. judiciary infrastructure, but I do have that line. Good for you.
It's gotta be from the Bay Area.
Yeah, good for you, Judge Kaczynski. The case was dismissed. Mattel tried to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, but their petition was denied. Meanwhile, the band's response to all of this was essentially Danish bewilderment. The national brand, along with tinned fish and melancholy. Rene Deef, the DJ, told Rolling Stone that his first thought was, wow, the biggest toy company in the world is going after the little band from Denmark? Accents mine. Lene said something similar. I thought it was hilarious, to be honest. I have to say, only in America. They didn't sue us. They sued our label. For a long time, we couldn't talk about it. If we were interviewed, we couldn't speak about it. There were a lot of hassles around us, but it was also hilarious. And it was a free commercial on both sides, for Mattel and for us. Parentheses closed. Aqua followed up Aquarium in 2000 with Aquarius, which no one cared about. It sold well around the world, but peaked at just number 82 in America. They took a break in 2001 that lasted until 2008, 7 years. They released their third album called Something, Megalomania, I'm just now told, in 2011. During this time, one of those Danish people, Soren, I don't care, married Lene, I also don't care. And they had 2 kids, who cares? But since they have separated after 16 years, that's sad. I wish their children grew up with 2 parents. Quote, we're the best of friends. One of them told Rolling Stone. They still live in the same apartment building, in units next to each other. Lene, quote, my boyfriend is Soren's studio technician. We go out to dinner with Soren and his girlfriend. It's just a big, modern, happy family. Renee and Soren are my 2 best friends. To which Soren said, I can imagine. It looks really weird from the outside, but it feels good from the inside. Wow.
Oh.
That is an out-of-context quote for the ages. Thank you, Soren. Aside from all the lawsuits, the song may have impacted Mattel's Barbie in a material way. It is interesting to note that since late 1997, a few months after the song peaked on the American charts, Mattel announced that they were changing Barbie's body type for just the 3rd time in her history, giving her a bigger waist, slimmer hips, and B-cup breasts.
I'm told.
Ironically, 7 years later in 2009, Mattel was looking to juice sales for a new product, Barbie Fashionistas. Jordan, what is Barbie Fashionistas? Let me kick it to you.
It's a new doll that boasted a whopping 12 points of movement.
Wow.
Making it more flexible than any Barbie doll in history.
Well, they turned to Barbie Girl for the song in a commercial.
Yeah, they took some of the more scandalous lyrics and they gave them a Kids Bop style rewrite. So they had lines like, you can be a star no matter who you are, and I'm a girl in my world full of fashion and fun. But yeah, because this doll was, this big selling point was that it had all these points of movement, they incorporated a dance into the commercial called The Barbie by choreographer Jaquel Knight, who is famous for working on Beyonce's Single Ladies video the year before in 2008.
Jordan, what does this remind you of?
It reminds me of a listicle I did way back when I was at VH1, the most inappropriate Kids Bop songs ever, which was, I mean, it's kind of amazing. First of all, there are a zillion of those Kids Bop CDs. It's kind of like now that's what I call music volume, like 486. It's the same deal for Kids Bop. They did a version of Christina Aguilera's Come On Over, which is essentially a booty call song. There's also Kanye West's Heartless, J-Lo's I'm Real, and Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, plus the emotional devastation of Adele's Someone Like You. Nicki Minaj's Anaconda, with the lyrics altered to being about big smarts instead of big butts. But there's still the whole anaconda metaphor, which is troubling. There's kids singing Leona Lewis's Bleeding Love with lines like, you cut me open and I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding. I believe left unaltered. Evanescence's Bring Me to Life is included with the line, save me from the nothing I've become, left intact, sung by little kids. They also did My Immortal by Evanescence too. The opening line of Kesha's TikTok was changed to brush my teeth when I have to pack instead of with a bottle of Jack. Paparazzi by Lady Gaga was included, which I guess doesn't sound that weird until you realize that the entire song is about stalking. Cake by the Ocean was done by Kids Bop, which I guess should probably get a pass because there's a Jonas brother on there. And Closer by the Chainsmokers and Halsey. And that Uncle Cracker song, Follow Me, is also done by Kids Bop. So that's all weird.
Follow me and everything is all right. That one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, once again, back to Barbie Girl. By including the song in a Mattel commercial, you would expect that the toy makers and Aqua have buried the hatchet. But you would be wrong. In April 2022, Aqua's management confirmed to Variety that the song wouldn't appear in the upcoming Barbie movie, directed by Greta Gerwig. Although the spokesperson declined to say why, it's believed to be a result of the tense relationship between the band and Mattel, who are co-producing the film. Lene, for one, is fine with their song not being in the upcoming Barbie movie. She told Variety in a 25th anniversary piece about the song that using it in the film would be like, quote, cheese on cheese. In other words, two on the nose. That's a great expression. I totally understand why they didn't use it, but it's going to bring us a lot of attention no matter what, she said. Soren also joked, we should say we turned it down. Ryan Gosling is not good enough. However, the soundtrack features the Nicki Minaj joint Barbie World, which promptly samples Barbie. That's such a gimme. Nicki Minaj's fans are called Barbies. It makes perfect sense. Great. But thank God, that's not the only 21st century revamp of Barbie Girl in the midst of all this film-related Barbie mania. In early June 2023, Aqua released the first ever remix of Barbie Girl, on which they enlisted the talents of DJ Tiesto. You know, with the umlauts.
That is hilarious to me that in June of 2023, they were like, who's in the zeitgeist? I don't know, DJ Tiesto from 10 years ago.
What did he even do? I don't remember.
I don't know. The remix
with the umlauts.
Darude's Sandstorm? Incredible. 10 years, at least. Oh, my God. Jordan, take us home.
Apparently, Tiesto's daughter inspired the remake because she loves the original song. And also, we can't forget other 21st century tracks that tip their Kangol hat to Barbie Girl. In 2014, Ludacris nodded to the song with Party Girls, featuring Wiz Khalifa, Jermaine, and Cashmere Cat. And in 2018, Ava Max transformed the song into an anthem about consent with Not Your Barbie Girl, on which she sings, you can't touch me there, you can't touch my body, unless I say so, ain't your Barbie, no. All this to say, Barbie Girl's legacy looms large. This is especially the case on lists of bad songs. When the readers of Rolling Stone were asked to pick the worst song of the 90s back in 2011, the honor went to Barbie Girl, vaulting it above the likes of I'm Too Sexy, Achy Breaky Heart, Bop, and Nookie.
What was that last one?
Nookie.
No, one more time.
Nookie.
I'm getting a little feedback from your mic. Can you just maybe try it without the plosive?
Blender Magazine rated
more time.
Rated Barbie Girl as the 33rd worst song ever in its 2004 article, Run for Your Life, It's the 50 Worst Songs Ever, in a section entitled Scandalous Pedopop Alert, Irk.
God, I miss turn of the century print media.
Yeah, seriously.
What is that?
They suggested that, quote, perhaps the gambit sounded acceptable in helium-huffing singer Lene Lindstrom's native Norwegian, but that, in English, it's just plain wrong. Racist? Or true? They labeled rapper Rene Diff's Beso Profundo, Come On Barbie, Let's Go Party as the worst part of the song. I'm inclined to agree. And even Lene herself admits that listening to Barbie Girl can be a challenge. She told Rolling Stone, I can totally understand people getting pissed at it. It can be super annoying. It sticks like glue. And that's true. In February 2022, the video surpassed 1 billion views on YouTube, an achievement reached only by heavy hitters like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody and Guns N' Roses' November Rain. So, suck it.
Oh, thank God we're at the end of this.
Well, let's give the final word to Aqua's resident DJ, Renee Diff, the man who first met the lead singer of Barbie Girl on a cruise ship, or I guess a ferry, I should say, fell in love and invited her into his band, only to split up soon after.
Wait, is that actually what happened? I wasn't paying attention for any of this. Holy shit. Did they meet on a cruise ship?
No, they met on a ferry. They met on a Denmark to Norway ferry.
That's so lame.
And then
why is it not surprising to meet all these fucking nerds met on a boat? You love boats. No, this is why you pitched this. This is why you made me do this shit. It's because it was about a big boat. A bunch of Scandinavian nerds on a big boat. That's why you pitched this.
And I almost got away with it, too.
I have a word for you meddling kids. It's midnight where Jordan is. And he made me get through a whole episode that I tried to disrupt constantly. And he'll pay for it, too. Because
in editing. In the piece from Rolling Stone, Renee Diff explained, the message is that it's okay to be the person you are and look the way you look and be confident in that. You don't necessarily have to have plastic surgeries to be a better person. All these metaphors in the song were taboo to talk about, but we came out with a tongue-in-cheek way to present our song. It's a pop song, but it's also a song about how it's okay to be who you are, love who you are, and be yourself.
Thank you for listening. This has been Too Much Information. I'm Alex Heigl.
And I'm Jordan Runtagh. We'll catch you next time. Too Much Information was a production of iHeart Radio.
The show's executive producers are Noel Brown and Jordan Runtagh.
The show's supervising producer is Michael Alder June.
The show was researched, written, and hosted by Jordan Runtagh and Alex Heigl.
With original music by Seth Applebaum and the Ghost Funk Orchestra. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. For more podcasts on iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.